Hi guys, I just got my replacement Nikola control board, the one that burned up. It's been amazing, about 2 to 3 weeks since this originally happened. Now this is my old control board. Before I show you the new one, I just wanted to review again what essentially went wrong with this first design. And I think the design of the control board was probably good as it was, but it was how it was assembled that created the problems. So here is a basic configuration of the old control board, and these are the MOSFETs that blew. Now when they were assembling this board, you have to have this insulating thermal, it's a thermal conductor but not an electrical conductor, and this goes between the MOSFETs and the heatsink. So when they are assembling this, whoever is doing the work, they put the board down like this. They have this material, and then it's pretty easy to position it, and then like such, and screw it down. But that's for these 6 MOSFETs. There are 6 additional MOSFETs in the middle of the board. Now they could do this and put it down, but it's pretty easy during this whole process for when you're doing this for something like this to shift around a bit. And it looks like what they did on the vast majority of the control boards which have been disassembled, we see the same thing. They put some kind of an adhesive. We think it's a hot glue type adhesive, but we're really not sure. They put some adhesive here, and then they would put this down, essentially glue it, and then once that's glued on, they could just flip it over and it wouldn't shift on them, and they could, I'll put this the wrong way, you know, this would be glued here, put this down, then they could manually put the other piece here and everything would be fine, except for the fact that this added a very fine layer between the MOSFETs and this thermal conductor, and it was enough that in certain conditions, particularly my test, it failed, but there were some other wheels. I've seen pictures from 3 other boards just like this, blown. Same thing, they have this glue. I've seen other pictures of non-blown boards, but they also have the glue. So that would inhibit the transfer of heat from the MOSFETs to the heatsink, and eventually it would blow. And so Gotway eventually acknowledged this, and they are making new control boards available to all the first generation Nikola owners. And here is the new control board. I'll just put this next to it. It's got the new, much beefier MOSFETs that can take a lot more current and therefore typically run cooler. And here, so that's a big improvement. Now if they had these MOSFETs on this original board, then they might have actually survived even with this glue. So that I think was a weak part in this system design. System meaning the design of the board and the assembly of the board together as a system. So here we have these nice beefy MOSFETs, but here's another key thing that they've done is here's that membrane, just like this, except it's not a thin piece. You can kind of see it here. You can see how big it is. It's a big sheet, and it doesn't look like it's glued down, and I don't think it needs to be. It's just now when they assemble it, they just place that big sheet down. They don't have to worry about it shifting around much, and then they can put the control board down and assemble it. So no adhesive now between the MOSFETs and and this thermal membrane, and it makes it easy for them to assemble. And everything is great. Now the only complication for me, it's not horrible, is you know, of course when I took out my control board, I drew a little diagram of where the connectors go, so when I get the new control board I could put it back together. Well, this control board is a totally new control board. Doesn't just have bigger MOSFETs in place of the old ones. They couldn't have done that anyway, because the MOSFETs, the leads are spread more apart. It would take a new circuit board. But everything on this board, you can see it's different. If you look closely, the components are there's different components. They're different positions, and the connectors are different. You know, there's 3 here, there's 4 here, there's 4 here, and there's 4 here, but one of them is already used, and there's an extra one over here. But fortunately, I found a picture the guy posted on Facebook that defines what these connectors do, so I'll be able to trace the wires in the wheel and find out where I need to plug them in. And I'll post a link to that picture in the description to this video if you guys want to check it out if you need to do this yourself. Alright, so let me stick this in the Nikola, and in a few seconds you'll see the wheel running, hopefully. Hi guys, well, I'm on to my range test. After installing the new control board, I'm doing this in the morning. We kind of have a pretty warm weather going on in Southern California right now. It's kind of later part of July. I'm going to shut my face mask here to help the sun. Well, it didn't go quite as smoothly as I had hoped, so that video that you just saw where I was talking about the new control board, that was 3 weeks ago. I had anticipated this video being like the next day. So when I put the control board in, I discovered that the fan did not work. This is a real bummer. You know, of course I checked the connections and everything, and nothing. So I talked to Jason E-Wheels, and he put in, he ended up getting me a new control board. Unfortunately, it took about almost 3 weeks for me to get. But in the meantime, I wanted to ride my Nikola a little bit. You know, it's very frustrating to have a wheel. Basically, it's been 6 weeks now since the board fried on Overheat Hill. 6 weeks. So 3 weeks ago, what I did is I ordered a typical CPU fan, one of those square fans, the type that you see in many of the other Gotway wheels. The fan in the Nikola is a squirrel cage type fan. Puts a lot more air. It's noisier too, but I got one of those other fans, and I hooked it into the 5-volt system on the wheel, so it was basically always on. You turn on the wheel, it was always on, and that helped. The wheel temperature, without any fan, the Nikola runs in the high 50s. High 50s, 60, something like that. Not very good. With that fan, it would run in about in the low 50s. Of course, I couldn't do any kind of testing or go back to Overheat Hill like that, but I rode it for a little bit, and then just kind of put it away again. So a few days ago I got the new control board. I installed it last night, and the fan didn't work. Oh God. So I'm thinking, okay, there's no way that two control boards could be bad. Just didn't believe that, and I think I'm pretty confident in wiring the system up. So then it occurred to me, I wonder if it's the fan. So on the first control board that Jason sent me, the replacement, it had a new fan. It had the Bluetooth module. Unlike apparently the current modules that go out, they don't have a fan and they don't have the Bluetooth module, but this one did. So I thought, well, okay, I had to move that fan to this new control board. Maybe it's a fan. So I took the fan out of my original fried board, I put it in this new board, and voila, it started working. Oh God. So what are the odds of that? The fan being bad on that original control board. So I'm sending back of course one of the control boards to Jason. You can make use of it, of course. So it's done. Finally, everything's in the wheel. The fan works. Right now it's 39 degrees. The fans are really important in this wheel. And by the way, I've confirmed this. We did a ride the other day climbing 4,500 feet to the top of Mount Wilson, and Brian, he had his Nikola, same model as I do, and it overheated once, which is not surprising for this hill. I mean, every wheel can overheat, but what was interesting, it overheated at 65 degrees, which is confirms what I observed, because when I was having all my problems, I took a hairdryer and I heated I'm going slow through this water because I'm at the bottom of this river and there's going to be slime down here. So with the hairdryer test, I discovered that the fan would turn on at 65 degrees. So very interesting. All other wheels I've ever seen, all the Godwin, everyone, they all turn on at 79 degrees. What? Not the. I'm sorry, I said the fan turns on. It overheats at 65 degrees, and all the other wheels overheat at let's see. I want to make sure I'm not lost here. All the other wheels overheat at 79 degrees. So it's very interesting. I wonder why they change things. So maybe it's because, I don't know, they have a really powerful fan in there. I mean, it's moving a lot of air, so I guess maybe there's just no reason for it to ever actually get into that temperature range unless there's a problem. So something to be aware of for you guys who do monitor temperatures. All this water. So can't remember if I already said this. This is my range. This is my first formal range test. Of course, this is with a new control board, bigger MOSFETs, all that good stuff. And I've done some riding, a lot of riding with the wheel previously, and I do have a sense that it's not the most efficient wheel. All indications are it is consuming more power. We see that from the current alarms that get triggered much more often with this wheel, and just from observations and how far you can get on the battery. I mean, it's not like it's horrible, but it's definitely It's definitely worse than other wheels. There's no magic. This is a very powerful wheel. Big tire. It takes energy to move it, to get this thing moving, and it moves. So there's no free lunch, as they say. But anyway, I just want to, go through this is the typical ride I do for all my range tests and the typical speeds. I do want to say, unlike Speedy Feet, Ian, he's declared that when he does his range tests, he runs the wheels hard and fast to basically to demonstrate what's the minimum range you can get. That's not how I do my range tests. My range tests, they're my range tests, and they're basically what can I expect to get from a wheel for my typical riding conditions. So I'll be riding in the low 20s max. Quite out. My riding conditions are between 18 and 22 miles an hour. That's how I typically ride. And that's how I'm going to be riding today. Every once in a while you might go up to 25 or something like that. I do with the range test, I do kind of, I don't go super fast for a long time, because sometimes you ride faster depending on the kind of ride. So I do kind of limit myself to the highest end of the speeds. But yeah, 18 to 22 miles an hour, that's what I'll be riding. I'll typically kind of slow down towards the last third of the range test, because I'm usually starting to get low and I don't want to run out of power. But it's typical. So all my range tests, that's where the numbers come from. So whatever numbers I get here, it'll be relative to all my other tests. So if you're a speed freak, like I say sometimes, your numbers will be lower, that's for sure. And if you're a little more conservative rider, then you'll be better. But I don't know, from what I see, a lot of people ride in that speed range, 18 to 22, on average for long rides. All right, I'm not going to film a lot of this ride, but periodically I'll stop and just give a little update or talk about where I'm riding. This is the El Monte Airport, a small local airport, and this is the Rio Hondo River on my left. I'm heading north towards the mountains, and let's take a break up here for a second, see what my stats are. Beautiful day for going riding. It's a Wednesday morning. little place they set up here so people could come and watch the planes take off and landing. All right, I'm at 65% battery, resting right now, and about a little over 18 miles into the ride. So yeah, I'm not sure what I'm going to do today. How many miles? Probably, I'm hoping at least 50 anyway. Yeah, it's a nice spot. It's probably, we're having some warm weather in Southern California. I mean, relative to other places, it's a lot worse. I mean, in the United States right now, there's some big heat waves going on. I mean, today is going to be about 90 in Southern California, and relatively higher humidity than what we're used to. But most places would still think it's dry compared to what other people are experiencing. But it's, for us, it's pretty warm. Even the nights have been kind of warm, which is really unusual, because usually the temperatures go back down in the 60s every night, even in the summer. But I'm hoping it's going to cool off a little bit so I can do my do another overheat hill test. I'm going to do it on this wheel. What the hell? What do I have to lose? Another control board? I'm pretty optimistic though. I mean, this wheel, just 43 degrees now, the temperature. It's just it's a nice cool running wheel. I'm climbing the Santa Fe Dam. Huge dam in Southern California in terms of its ability to hold back water, but I've never really seen it full of water. I think it's mainly a safety, like for 100-year flood type events. but it's a beautiful beautiful bike path up here. I think the dam is like, I don't know, 2 to 3 miles long on the top. Absolutely beautiful conditions for riding. And I'll stop up here at I'm about to exit, check out my battery and see how we're doing. You can see how it winds around. It's just a real long curving path. Well, let's see, I'm going about 20 miles an hour right now, and the battery under load is 34%. Not great considering how much further I have to ride, but let's see, that's under load. If I slow down to a crawl, it's about 41%. I think I'll make it. I have to go a little slower than I'd like it at the end. Well, I'm about to head off the dam here and the home stretch that away, and I'm at 39% resting. Temperature's up to 48. I'm starting to get hot, yeah, 17 more miles home, 39%. I think I'll make it. I think that'll put me at let's see, I've gone 32 miles so far. So, just shy of 50 miles, if I make it. No, certainly not horrible mileage, but it's not going to dethrone the KS18XL, that's for sure.
go.
Okay, I'm at about 49 miles right now, and I just barely heard a 15% alarm. So here's the issue. This is interesting for me. So I last experienced this on the KS18XL, and I did a range test. Wheel log was lying to me. I mean, I don't know, typically it's been very good with all the measurements, but it was definitely like way off. And it looks like it's way off on the Conway too, because I'm reading 1% to 0% battery, wheel log is telling me. Yeah, I'm cruising at 18 miles an hour. And under heavy load. I just heard a couple of the beeps, which occurs at 15% on Gotways. So yeah, I've been going 49 miles, and I haven't been really slow. I mean, I've been limiting myself to 18, 19 miles an hour on the way back, which is, yeah, that's not exactly a horribly slow speed. So maybe I got to take back what I was saying about the poor battery performance on the Nikola. I just can't trust my instrumentation. It kind of sucks. I don't know. I guess these wheels, they don't really report a battery percentage. They report some value that gets translated by the app. And wheel log, I'm using the current one that's, you can download. Here, you can hear that beeping a little bit. Okay, and I'm at 0%. Yeah, so I'm running the one that you get from the Play Store, and whatever tables, lookup tables they're using, or algorithm to convert the output from the wheel into a battery percentage is off. So I'm definitely getting more of the beeps now. I'm guessing I'm at about 15% battery, 10 to 15% battery. So it looks like wheel log's off by at least 10%. Well, that's good. I mean, in terms of what I was getting out of my, what I thought I was getting out of the Nikola. Based on this, I'm going to get at least 55 miles on this range test, which is, you know, at decent speeds. So good news. Well, guys, looks like I'm at the end of the road here. I'm I don't know, a mile from home, maybe a little more than that, and riding about 7 miles an hour. I'm getting a mild tilt back. I'm going to continue riding it until I get really bad tilt back, and we'll go from there. But let's see. Summarize, I'm at 53.2 miles. And yeah, and up to about 50 miles I was riding 18 miles an hour, thereabouts. So pretty good. If I make it home, I'll probably, be a little over 54 miles. I'm really stoked. I thought it was going to be worse. And again, most of this was pretty good riding speeds. I've been contemplating buying I know this sounds crazy, but buying a 2100 watt hour Nikola, the 84 volt. Just because I love long distance rides, and based on what I'm seeing right now, then this is it's a for my riding, pretty solid 50-mile wheel. Another 400 watt hours of battery. Wow, I think it would be a 65 to 70 mile wheel for how I ride. And tiltback's getting pretty bad now. And I'm my riding weight's about 180 pounds. I always like to stress that. Yeah, I'm not going to be riding much farther. I don't think I'll get to 54 miles. But yeah. And a surprise for you, some of you guys who might think of this as a surprise, but I'll be testing a 100 volt Nikola Plus here, like probably tomorrow. So we'll see how that range works out. Yep, I cannot ride anymore. It's interesting. Tiltback just it just gets worse and worse. You see how it's tilting back right now? So I get to walk about a quarter of a mile home. I hate walking wheels like this through like intersections. I've had to do this multiple times, to get a flat. Running out of juice. It's embarrassing. All right, guys. Hope this was interesting, and talk to you later.